Along divergent boundaries, plates move apart, because they are the areas where seafloor spreading begins. In the oceanic divergent plate boundary, most of the divergent plate boundaries are located along the crests of the mid-ocean ridge. An example of where you can find them is the Galapagos Rise. A convergent oceanic continental plate is when the leading edge of a continental lithosphere converges with the oceanic lithosphere. The newly formed magma, being less dense than the rocks of the mantle, rises. Eventually, some of the magma may reach the surface and create volcanoes. An example of a convergent oceanic continental plate boundary is the collision between the Eurasian plate and the Indian plate that is forming the Himalayas. Continental plate boundary is when oceanic lithosphere is subducted beneath continental lithosphere, and then a continental volcanic arc develops along the margins of the continent. That is what creates the mountains. I can't stop. An example is the collision of the Eurasian plate and the African plate, which formed the Pontic Mountains in Turkey. A hotspot is a concentration of heat in the mantle capable of producing magma, which rises to the Earth's surface. The Pacific plate moves over a hotspot. One example of a hotspot is in the Hawaiian Islands. The third type of plate boundary is a transform boundary. Pieces of lithosphere move past each other horizontally along a transform fault boundary. At a transform fault boundary, plates grind past each other without destroying the lithosphere. Some examples of where a transform boundary is mostly found is in the mid-Atlantic ridge. A divergent continental plate is when the two continental crusts are moving away from each other and the magma comes up the middle to create a rift valley. Two examples of where you can find a divergent continental is in the Red Sea Rift and the East African Rift.